While you are seated there, you are oblivious to the fact that the universal mechanism is working to put you in motion. During the time that you have been asleep, powers that are beyond the comprehension of mortals have been digging truth out of the ground, where they believed it had been sealed away for all time. At this very moment, the same individual who formerly looked you dead in the eyes and denied everything is now frantically trying to get in touch with you. The same hands that were responsible for craftily fabricating extensive lies against you are now shaking as they grip their phone, unsure of how to start their confession. It is not because they have discovered a morality hidden in the pocket of their coat. Rather, it is because their attorney is aware of what may be waiting for them beyond the doors of the courthouse. The arrival of this moment is not the result of coincidence or circumstance. Make no mistake about that. It is the manifestation of divine timing in the concerns of human beings. Your vindication is ready to cleave through lies like a sword of fire, and the cosmic ledger requires that you strike a balance between the two. They previously had a firm grip on the story and were unable to let go. Your narrative, your truth, and your character have all been altered as a result of their manipulative touch. Yet, even the most powerful grasp becomes less effective over time. At this moment, they are able to remove their fingers from the throat of your reputation. The barriers that they constructed in order to confine you are beginning to crumble, exposing the grandeur of the space that is rightfully yours in this cosmos. You have been misunderstood. Someone has slandered you, as if you were a sacrifice that was being offered at the altar of their aspirations. You were arranged to fall away, but you continue to stand here unbroken. Now their attorney has a thorough understanding of the situation. They chose the wrong cosmic force to factor into their calculations. They strode throughout the world with self-assurance, didn't they? They wore their dishonesty like costly fragrance, which was overbearing, impossible to ignore, and caused everyone in the room to feel dizzy with its potency. They wore their shoulders back and their chins high. They had such a strong conviction in their ability to reimagine reality that they came dangerously close to persuading the very universe itself to believe their lies. Do you recall how they were able to counterfeit documents with their calm hands? How were they able to falsify the evidence with such exquisite precision? How did they manipulate the facts to the point where the truth itself pleaded for grace? Every action carried out with the unruffled confidence of someone who is convinced that they will never be held accountable for their actions. As a master builder of deception, they set about building a castle of lies around themselves, one brick at a time, using careful planning and execution. From a distance, they admired the work that they had done. It is impossible for anyone to ever go past this. The higher forces, which had been fooled, carried out their intervention with the stealthy efficiency of heavenly clockwork. A single thread became dislodged, the only one. Furthermore, all of a sudden, the entire structure that they had constructed started to fall apart with an uncontrollable momentum. The fact that the cosmos does not recognize forgeries is something that they do not comprehend, and something that they have never comprehended. The universe cannot be fooled in any way. It can appear that the huge machinery of justice moves at a snail's pace, but it actually works with a crushing thoroughness. It is only now, as proof emerges like bodies rising from the depths of a lake, that they come to the realization that fighting against you was their final error. Before it ever started, the battle was already over. That is not because they made a mistake in their strategy, but rather because they were fighting against something that was much more powerful than you alone. They position themselves in opposition to the existence of truth. At this point, their understanding is too late. Nothing can be done to stop the mechanisms that they have set in motion. I am waiting in the courtroom. In the domain of inevitability, the judge's gavel has already been raised, and their counsel, who was their final line of defense, has completely given in to the reality of the situation. Blessed by his grace, click Super Thank You and give $20 plus to spread his light. Your gift plants seeds that grow his kingdom. Be the blessing. Provide them with all of the information before we stand before the judge. The abrupt softening of their voice should not be taken as a sign of weakness. Be careful not to confuse their sense of haste with genuine regret. It is not the germ of remorse that is the source of the confession that is developing on their lips. It is the estimate that someone would make if they were standing on the edge of a precipice and the ground was crumbling beneath their feet. They reach out to you, not as a friend who is pleading for forgiveness, but rather as a person who is drowning and clinging to anything that could possibly save them from drowning. Their legal staff has gone through the material, investigated every angle, and investigated every possible defense, and they have arrived at one dismal conclusion. What they did can no longer be concealed. The truth has become so extensive that it cannot be contained. It forces itself against every barrier that they have constructed, twists every lock, and stretches every chain until there is nothing that can stop it from moving forward. This trend has been seen before by their attorney, who has witnessed clients who assumed they were untouchable suddenly being confronted with the full brunt of penalties because of their actions. The guidance that was provided did not focus on putting things in order. It was about preventing further damage. Pay close attention to the terms that they determine to use. Be sure to observe how they present their confession. Even today, they will make an effort to change their story in order to admit that they have done something wrong, but they will continue to portray you as the adversary in their narrative. You did, but I was forced to do it by you. However, you were not completely blameless either. You must have an understanding of the circumstances that I was in at the time. Up until the very end, manipulation was used. They are looking for a compassionate and forgiving character in you, which they can use to their advantage for one last time. They hope that you will come to accept their half-truths and partial admissions because you will be so appreciative of any acknowledgement of the wrongs they have committed. The admission of guilt was recommended by their lawyers, although complete honesty was never specified. Take care not to be fooled. At this point, the mending process has not yet begun. In the game that they are still trying to win, this is the last move that they can make. They are not asking you to make reparations. Rather, they are doing so in order to shield themselves from the oncoming wave of justice that is building on the horizon. It was intended for you to be completely overpowered by their strategies. Their intimidation was intended to be the means by which you were silenced. You were intended to be completely removed from the equation, to be a footnote in the narrative that they were making for themselves. They made a disastrous error in their calculations. You climbed above the weight of their schemes, rather than sinking under the weight of them. You did not break apart beneath the pressure. Rather, you became more solid. At this moment, you are not standing as their victim. Rather, you are the living embodiment of everything that terrorized them. Resilience that cannot be shattered, or brokenness. It is impossible to conceal the truth. Strength that cannot be decreased in any way. You are about to witness the people who previously questioned your assertions being compelled to acknowledge your power. It is fascinating to observe how rapidly allegiances change when evidence becomes indisputable. Because of the cold efficiency of machinery recalibrating to its correct function, the identical system that they exploited to work against you is now turning against them. As if they were built on sand, full claims are destined to fail. When scrutinized, evidence that has been manipulated is exposed. In the same way as bodies emerge from the depths of murky rivers, betrayals show themselves. The actions that were carried out in the shadows are now in the light, begging to be recognized and acknowledged. Their allies, who were standing shoulder to shoulder with them against you, are now taking a step back, establishing distance between themselves and you, and making calculations about their own chances of survival. Rats running away from a ship that is sinking. Suddenly, each one became concerned about the possibility of their personal exposure. The network of support that they counted on is crumbling right in front of their eyes, leaving them to stand alone in the devastation that they have created for themselves. You are here for a reason. If you feel the call, answer it. Click Join to unlock exclusive content, deep insights, and a powerful community. This isn't just a membership, it's an awakening. Step into your divine purpose. Join the chosen. This seclusion is something that their attorney is well aware of, and he is aware that in court battles, isolation is death. The weight of a defendant who is standing alone is different from the weight of a defendant who is surrounded by supporters. It is felt by the jury. Judges are aware of it. The balances of justice react to it in a certain way. This is the reason why the tip is so urgent. Make contact with them before we approach the courtroom. Look for a technique to counteract their influence. Before we are confronted with what lies beyond the legal proceedings, beyond the material evidence, and beyond the obvious collapse of their position, something much more profound is taking place. A spiritual reckoning has been unleashed, and it operates in accordance with laws that are more ancient than any courtroom could possibly contain. Your very essence was an attempt by them to link it with their schemes. Through the use of their tactics, they attempted to exert influence over your fate. Through their assaults, they intended to lessen the power that you possessed. Specifically, they were unable to comprehend the cosmic bargain that they had broken by acting in such a manner. Not only do you possess psychological strength, but you also possess resilience. The connection is made to forces that they are unable to perceive, quantify, or comprehend. During the time that they were protecting you in areas that were beyond their knowledge, they were operating in the sphere of human schemes. Now, their intentions are being thwarted with a miraculous degree of accuracy. Everything that they sent in your direction comes back to them in a multiplied form. Every trap that they set functions as a jail for them. Each weapon that they developed ultimately proves to be their undoing. Mathematical precision is the means by which the spiritual law of return is brought into fulfillment. What they put out is returned to them 10 times more. It is possible that they will approach you with tears welling up in their eyes and their voice breaking with emotion, all in the hopes of eliciting compassion from you. One possibility is that they will talk about their anguish, their losses, and their worries about the future. These are things that they might even feel in a true way. In this moment, experiencing suffering has the ability to open doors to consciousness that were previously closed during moments of success. Maintain a dispassionate stance toward their emotional appeals. The load that they are carrying was brought about by their decisions, constructed by their hands, and set in motion by their purpose. There is a direct correlation between the activities that they willingly choose to take and the weight that they now carry. It is not your responsibility to make this easier. It is not possible for your forgiveness or compassion to hold back the spiritual energies that are currently in work. Regardless of how you personally feel about them, the wheels continue to roll around. When it comes to this level of justice, individual feelings are irrelevant. When there was an imbalance in the cosmos, it is the universe that is restoring balance. This equilibrium is reflected in the material world with a glaring clarity, while the spiritual implications are unfolding in realms that are not visible to the human eye. Their fortune, which was once thought to be limitless, is now being depleted by the costs of legal representation, settlements, and verdicts. Their position, which was formerly unquestionable, is now tainted with the taint of being exposed as dishonest. Now, their stability, which was once the envy of others, is clearly beginning to erode. It is obvious that you are aware that the game is rigged. Also, if you are paying attention, you are aware that the barriers are getting closer and closer. Now let's talk about the actions that we are taking to address this issue. People have the right to demand certain things when they are living by the day at the command of the market, when profit and property rule the land, when they want to be heard, when they want to be held, and when they want to be dealt a fair hand, as well as we hear you. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. They are now depleting the same resources that they used against you in the past at an astounding rate. Bank accounts are depleted, assets are frozen, and credit lines are terminated. It is now clear that the financial fortress that they established, which may have even been the basis from which they started their attacks on you, is made up of papers that are easily destroyed when they are exposed to the fire of consequences. During a blizzard, debt builds up like snow on the ground. As others identify the pattern that you recognized a long time ago, the number of lawsuits increases. It is not a remote possibility that the financial ruin may occur. Rather, it is an increasing certainty that it will occur. Their legal representative is aware of the projections, comprehends the trajectories, and is aware of the conclusion that is unavoidable. In the event that some form of intervention does not take place right away, they may come before you and talk about making amends, repairing the relationship, and reconciling the differences. According to the language of reality, the true motivation is survival, which is a different linguistic expression, unadulterated and utterly desperate. Instead of reaching out to you as someone with whom they hope to repair their relationship, they are looking for you as a possible means of survival in the midst of a storm that threatens to swallow them completely. There is no debt owed to them. Your attention, your energy, your forgiveness, and your support are all things that are not relevant. The formulas that they themselves devised and put into action are the cause of the financial disaster that they are currently experiencing. Their demise manifests itself in accordance with the principles of cause and effect, which are in operation regardless of whether or not you are involved. Keep this reality in mind when they bring themselves before you and ask for forgiveness, possibly for the very first time in the history of your relationship. The reason for their request is not a revelation about your value. Rather, it is a revelation about the circumstances in which they find themselves. There is a significant difference between the two. In this moment of their desperation, you have something that may feel like power, the choice of how to respond to everything, that they are going through. Are you going to pay attention to their confession? Are you willing to embrace their apology? Are you willing to lend a hand in mitigating the challenges that they must face? During the time that you are anticipating their arrival, these questions could keep you thinking. On the other hand, there is a more significant truth. You do not have to react in any way. Your comment does not alter the functioning of the mechanism that is the justice system. Despite the fact that it does not require your cooperation, the truth works tirelessly. The vindication of your position will happen regardless of whether you interact with them or remain completely silent. Their confession, regardless of whether it is delivered in its entirety or in part, whether it is sincere or strategic, does not alter the course of action that has already been established. Not because of your acts, but because of their own. Their destiny was decided. For them, the courtroom is waiting. In spite of the fact that you may give credence to their regret at the 11th hour, the conflict that you fought was never primarily about them. The events that transpired in your life were only the outward manifestation of a more significant process that was underway. It is a process that involves growth, the building of strength and alignment with your divine destiny. From a more elevated vantage point, what looked to be their assault on you was actually the universe's way of putting you in the exact place that you were supposed to be in. With the same unwavering confidence that daylight follows night, justice is drawing near. There is no need for you to exert any pressure or provide your approval. It progresses in accordance with established laws that are independent of human influence. Your current mission is not to make sure that justice is served. Rather, it is to merely observe the process of justice being carried out without getting involved in their pandemonium. Please take note of the following. The forces of the universe are working together to vindicate you with the accuracy of their mathematical calculations. The things that other people consider to be fortuitous turn out to be things that you see to be perfectly arranged. Evidence that becomes available at just the correct time. Individuals who witnessed the emergence of bravery at precisely the right moment. Documents appearing at the most inopportune times. Exactly the same divine timing that made it possible for them to maintain their deceit until the right time now works with the same level of accuracy while working toward their exposure. Nothing happens at random. Nothing is a casual occurrence. In the same way that tumblers in a cosmic lock click into place, each revelation opens doors to justice that no human force can ever close again. When it comes to recognizing this momentum, this inevitable progression toward truth, their attorney has the clarity that comes from years of seeing how justice finally prevails. Rather than being a result of a moral awakening, the recommendation to confess is a result of professional recognition. There is no way to overcome the evidence that is accumulating against them. They are surrounded by a casing that is completely airtight. The verdict that is waiting for them is unquestionable. Universal forces gathered the resources that were necessary for this moment while they were sleeping in a state of illusory security. During the time that they were traveling over the world, they were under the impression that their interpretation of reality would go unquestioned. However, truth was being preserved in ways that they could not have possibly predicted. Text messages that they believed had been destroyed. Footage from surveillance cameras that they were unaware existed. There were witnesses who they assumed were silenced, but who rediscovered their voices at just the right moment. The lawyer examines all of this material with the professional detachment that is required, and then he or she delivers the verdict that they had fervently hoped to avoid hearing. It is impossible to mount a defense against what they possess. Before we enter the courtroom, your only choice is to approach them and speak with them. In order to avoid the judge doing it for you, you should set the record straight now. As you stand here, take comfort in the knowledge that you are standing on solid ground. Your stance is not founded on sand that is always moving. Rather, it is founded on the bedrock of truth that is unaffected by any storm. During the time that they are frantically trying to piece together their story, yours will continue to be constant since it has never required any fabrication. To this day, you continue to use the same terms that you have used from the very beginning. It is not because you have committed a script to memory, but rather because the truth need not be revised. During the time when you are moving forward on waters that are supportive of your journey, they are exhausting themselves by trying to fix holes in their sinking ship. Their attorney is aware of the significance of consistent testimony, aware of how jurors react to a witness whose account is unwavering, and aware of the devastating impact of documented proof that completely corresponds with the testimony that is being presented. The legal tactic turns from assault to damage management when such alignment becomes apparent, in the case that is being opposed to the one being defended. Keep in mind the contrast between your viewpoints as they approach you with their confession, whether it is partial or whole, sincere or strategic. These are the results of desperation. There is no doubt in your stand. Fear motivates them to talk. There is knowledge where you are. Efforts are made to reduce the potential repercussions. You are already making progress in achieving your vindication. There is no need to rush to answer when they make contact with you. Make the most of the time that is uniquely yours. Take into consideration what is in your best interest, rather than what would make them feel more comfortable. The cosmos has been patiently waiting for this alignment to have occurred. Your right to the same consideration is guaranteed to you. They violated eternal principles that govern reality on levels that they had never contemplated before, which goes beyond human legislation, beyond the procedures of the courtroom, and beyond the repercussions of the law. These laws function with absolute accuracy, irrespective of whether or not people are aware of them or believe in them. They perform in a manner that is unwaveringly consistent, regardless of time, distance, or even the circumstances, because of the rule of cause and effect. What they started comes back to them in a manner that is perfectly symmetrical. This is the law of harvest. They are now reaping the fruits of their labor in an abundance that is multiplied. Integrity is a law that must. Exactly how much agony they are experiencing can be determined by the space that exists between their words and their deeds. The only human laws that their counsel is aware of are those that they have violated. The only thing that the legal counsel sees coming is the impending consequences in the courtroom. The larger reckoning that is taking place across dimensions of existence is something that their legal team is unable to see, and it is something that no legal strategy can address. However, you are aware of the more comprehensive nature of what is taking place. From the perspective of the immediate legal proceedings, you are able to perceive the cosmic balancing that cannot be prevented by any human intervention. If you want to listen to their confession, you will be able to do so with the detachment of someone who is aware that justice has already been established at levels that extend far beyond the upcoming court hearing. This awareness enables you to observe their confession. Pay attention to the people who are gathering to watch this drama as it draws closer to its conclusion. Those individuals who are skeptical of your assertions are now watching with wide eyes as proof substantiates what you have stated from the very beginning. Some individuals who had doubts about your security are now observing with a growing comprehension as the truth coincides precisely with the claims that you have made.